everyone. Happy Sunday, happy new week, and it's gonna be a good week for us all. My name is Mrs. Rhoda Abulaho, and I am a representative of Lahore Behavioral Services. Over the week, we've talked on different mental health defects. Today, we're going to talk on attention defect hyperactivity disorder. So, for those of you who have not joined us in our weekly episodes, you can join us today. Get your writing materials, your jotter, and we can run along. What is attention defect hyperactivity? How does it affect those around us? This and more we're going to learn today. Before I proceed, I would like to talk on Lahore Behavioral Services. Lahore Behavioral Services is a Katy based rehabilitation centers that treats children or adults ranging from the ages 3 through 99 and having mental health disorders such as bipolar disorder, depression, mania, and the likes. So, if you want to know more, if you want to get through to our mental health personnel, you can reach us on 832-230-4487. Yes. And now let's get to the topic of the day, which is attention defect hyperactivity disorder. Yes. What is attention defect hyperactivity disorder? Who are the persons prone to these disorders? Yes. Attention defect hyperactivity disorder is abbreviated ADHD. It can also be called attention deficit disorder. That is when the case of hyperactivity is very minute or not noticed at all. Yeah. And it is divided into three types. We have the combined type, we have the inattentive type, and we have the hyperactivity type. So today I'm going to explain all of these and more to you. And when next we come, we're going to talk on the other types or how to treat, or we can as well get to know the various symptoms of this particular mental health defect. Yes. So now let's talk about ADHD, attention defect hyperactivity disorder. Attention defect hyperactivity disorder is a mental health disorder that is caused by attention deficiency, as the name implies, and hyperactivity. And it is very common among preschoolers. So, when you notice that your child is not paying attention to a particular thing or is always very hyper, like throwing tantrums all about the house, running, scattering, you need to get that child checked. You need to visit a mental health personnel so they can run a checkup to know if that child has ADHD. And when I mean preschoolers, these are children that falls between the ages 6 to 10, and they are in the grades, or let's say the first grade to the third or fourth grade. Yes. So when you notice these children exhibiting these characteristics, please don't just sit down and relax. Take your child to see a mental health personnel. And it's mostly common with the male gender. That doesn't mean the female genders do not have it too, but it's mostly common with the male. Now let's talk about the types. The three types of ADHD. We have the combined type, the inattentive type, and the hyperactivity type. The combined type. This is the most difficult type of ADHD because it has to do with two or more symptoms. That is, the child is exhibiting two or more symptoms of this particular mental health defect. Is the thing that the child is inattentive and the child is very hyper. So when you notice this child exhibiting these two particular symptoms, you know the child has the combined type of ADHD. Then we have the inattentive type. The inattentive type is the type whereby the child doesn't pay attention. The child is always very restless. The child doesn't want to do what he or she ought to do at that particular time. You can give the child a piece of paper with drawing materials and ask the child to do a painting. And when you come back, you see that he has torn or she has torn it into pieces. Then you know this child has the inattentive type of attention defect hyperactivity disorder. We have the hyperactivity type. As the name implies, this child is very hyper, always throwing tantrums. The child cannot stay in a particular location for 30 minutes or 15 minutes. Child is always very restless. So when you notice you have a preschooler one who is always trying to be very restless, throwing tantrums and doesn't pay attention to, then you know that child has attention defect hyperactivity disorder. I have made it very simple for you to understand. Then you can reach us on the number I stated on 832-230-4487, so we can help you with our trained mental health personnel. We have trained mental health nurses and other healthcare personnel that can help you with these disorders. There is no stigmatization, there is no age grade for this. We treat from the ages 3 to 99. So call us and you will not regret ever doing so. Then, one thing science has observed is, as a scientist, we always carry out research and bring out hypotheses. And it has proven that 25% of this mental health defect is caused by the parents. When you see a child exhibiting ADHD, you will know that it's either the parents would have had a trace of it or he or she once had that particular mental health defect. Now we're going to talk about the factors that trigger these mental health defects. There are environmental factors that trigger these mental health defects. And these environmental factors include one, the poor socioeconomic factor, that is socioeconomic factor, that is poverty. Yes, you notice that a child who comes from a very poor background are always not very happy. Like, they just feel life is not being fair to them, and at that point they just want to do anything to survive. In the process of trying to pass through or trying to go through such a struggle, they end up having ADHD. Not all, but there is a high chance of them having ADHD if they are really persistent. Yes. Then we have those from the foster home, those children who are not with their parents. They are always not very free. There is no place like home, yeah. So when you're not with your parent, there is this level of independence you cannot achieve or freedom you cannot get, and it affects children too, causing them to have ADHD. Then we have those with traumatic effects, like, let's say, an accident victim, that is someone who was involved in an accident and you hit a particular part of your brain, like that is the head, either the frontal lobe or the occipital lobe, any of them, or the parental or temporal, any of the brain, you use it to hit the floor or even the wall, it can cause a shake and affect the activity that is going on in the brain at that point, causing that child to have attention defect hyperactivity disorder. That is why we advise parents to always wear their children headgears, especially when you have a baby or a toddler trying to walk or crawl or jump from one place to the other. Or rather, you get a headset to protect their head from falling, because even if they fall, they won't have to use their head against the wall. Instead, the headset will serve as a protective equipment so as to avoid further damages, not necessarily ADHD, but other damages, even death to that child. Then, parents with mental health disorders. Science has proven that some parents with mental health disorders are prone to giving or passing it to their offspring. Hereditary has come to play in this particular one I'm talking about right now. So, why don't we just get ourselves checked? Make sure we're of good shape. Call us at Lahore Behavioral Services, 832-230-4487, and we are always there to take good care of you. Until then, I remain your faithful host, Mrs. Rhoda Abalaho. Yes, and you can check our YouTube channel. It's a new one, the Lahore Behavioral Services website, www.lahorebehaviorals, and send us videos, ask questions, call us. We are always there to answer you. Have a blessed day and stay safe.